What is going on, car guys and car gals? It's Lou Ramirez, the car guy, and we are excited to be hanging out here on this DealerCast 2.0 episode with the incredible dynamic duo, Larry, Bruce, and Jeff Loos, and Mr. Lou over here having some fun. Welcome to the party, everybody.
100%. Got a little late start, but we're good to go now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to appreciate all the technical difficulties that run into making a show like this happen. But the great news is, everybody, you can catch this on the podcast, and you can also make sure that you do get other people involved inside of this incredible session by tagging a car guy, tagging a car gal, and sharing it all around for everybody, because these have been some really, really great conversations that we've been having, talking about how to honestly really undo some of the tied up and choked up thinking that we've had inside of industry by being able to really just have some great conversations about it. Larry and Jeff, you're always really giving some great expertise on what it is that we are talking about and making sure that we do tie together our tactics with the right tools. But this week we got a very, very special one, which is going to make a lot of people go, what the right? Because we have all of these systems, we have all of these things, and we have all of this lifestyle that we have that we're getting ready to say, wipe it off the table and let's relook at what's actually moving the needle. So Larry, help us understand, what is the subject of the day? What are we going to be brewing on today, my friend?
Man, today is an interesting topic for me. A long time ago, I heard a guy say, and I wish I could tell you who a guy was, but the guy said, if it ain't broke, break it and refix it. And, I think, we don't do enough breaking it. And today we're going to talk about no more templates, no more workflows, no more daily plans. If you're trying to figure out what's going to happen today happens minutely. Not even hourly. It happens. Today's happening right now. Things are happening right now that we should be following up on and doing, even with the people on this call or on this podcast, right? The day happens. If you're trying to figure it out after the day's ended, then you're in real trouble. If you're trying to figure it out before the day gets started, it's going to all change. What was it Mike Tyson said? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So that's what happens to our car guys and car gals every day. They get punched in the mouth, and you got to be ready to roll with those punches. So we're going to talk about why and how these things don't work anymore. They just don't.
So if I'm understanding this right, we're saying that the lifestyle that we've been trained and accustomed to having, where we deal with having so many different tasks inside the day, tasks, by the way, that don't actually really get done, right? They actually impede us inside of our growth and make our sales pros and make our managers feel almost inadequate because they're never getting to the bottom of the barrel. They're never getting to the end of the task list. Jeff, why is it that you think that this is such an important thing for us to be able to start shaking minds up with?
I think, interestingly enough, everything at PSX is based on real-time information, real-time connections, and everything kind of happening in front of us now, not what should happen in the future. And even our dashboards and reporting. Larry's a fan of not building pretty reports to make you feel good, but to give you actionable data today and barometers of, hey, this is what it means in the moment and where it's going to lead you. So get on top of it right now, not look at it later today or tomorrow.
That's good. That's
good
stuff.
I think at the end of the day, for the salesperson, they walk in and they sit down at their desk. If you're in a dealership generally that's trying its best to run a process, then you've got a daily plan and your manager wants to go over your daily plan. And, he's going to ask you, what happened to this guy yesterday? What happened with this guy yesterday? What are you going to do to call this person? Did you call that guy? And you're going to, okay, I'm going to say it. You're going to be kind of angry a little bit about it, but I'm right. You're going to tell him a fib. called that guy. Yes, I know. You're gonna, as a car guy and dog, you've probably never told a fib before in your life, but you're going to now. Your sales manager asks you if you called that guy, and you're going to tell him, yeah, you called him, but you didn't. And you're going to tell him, yeah, that guy was a tire kicker. And you're going to tell him that guy wasn't, that guy's not interested. You have no idea whether they are or they aren't. You haven't talked to him. I get it. I've done it. And so, you know, I'm not shocked that you're doing it. But the fact of the matter is that the reason you're not doing, or the reason you are doing it, is because you've got this compiled daily plan from yesterday, and everything has changed from yesterday. That customer, you don't know if that customer is hot or not. That customer may have submitted a lead on your website and may or may not be interested today because of something that happened. They may or may be more interested today, and there may be another person down the line that you're supposed to call that's far more interested, and you called them, and and everybody, every salesperson on the planet, I don't care what you sell, has gotten this when they call the customer. Oh man, I wish you'd have talked to me about, an hour ago. I just bought one.
What a course.
No. I just bought one. I know this is shocking that most of you guys probably don't run into this, but the reality is that this happens to other salespeople all the time. So
it's being that 0.2, the 1.2, right? They bought somewhere else.
Yes. You've heard me say this before. The customer visits 1.2 dealerships. You just don't want to be the 0.2.
That's right.
So, at the end of the day,
so with that,
what's
Larry,
happening.
there's the recognition that, okay, we know this is happening. This is kind of how our day goes. So in that, what do we suggest to do in utilizing the technologies that we have, but also in reshaping the way that we think about being proactive about setting up our day, our week, our month, right? Because if we don't set it up, it is going to crumble. And we're convinced that the magic box is telling us what to do, so we got to kind of do it, even if it means we're just clearing the tasks. When we are training dealerships, we do teach them, hey, if you have a CRM, you do want to make sure that you do complete the actual tasks that you have, or you don't clear them out. You send that. If there's a total different mindset that has to happen, what do you suggest that they do?
Well, the total different mindset is your CRM or whatever's starting you out for the day should prioritize that based upon engagement. It should be looking at the customers that it should be able to see that has this customer who I'm going to have you start out with. Have they been opening your emails? Have they been opening your texts? Have they been opening the dealership's emails? Have they been opening the dealership's text? And the interactions that the dealerships had with it, has it been opening? Have they been opening them? Have they been looking at them? Have they been, is there been engagement? And the higher that engagement, the more that the more interactions, the more that engagement's taking place. That's the highest customer. So it should start out with that person. And then it should go even further, looking at your website. Have they been back? How many times have they been back? How many vehicles have they looked at? What vehicles did they look at? All of that's important, and that's why, when we first built PSX, I didn't want to build, a lot of people build one throat to choke to make it cheaper. People, they talk about one throat to choke to make it, one place you can go and bitch at somebody. That's not why we built PSX the way we did. We built PSX because we had to have all of the data from the website, all of the data from the CDP, all of the data from the inventory, all of the data from the CRM. We had to have it all. And I didn't want to run around trying to get this CRM company and this CDP company and this this inventory management company to send me the data in this way at these intervals and have it break in between all of these things. And I just didn't, it was easier to build it than it is to try to manage 5 different companies that are running your dealership's systems, and get those 5 different people in a boardroom who all have different agendas, who all want to protect their revenue, who all want to and I can assure you, none of the agendas that they have in their top 3 have anything to do with your store. It has everything to do with their company. So their top 3 agendas, their number one agenda, when you get on the phone with one vendor who's trying to help another vendor and you get this, It's because this guy's trying to protect his revenue and this guy's trying to protect his revenue. And they're going to point at each other. And that the only person that's not winning in that scenario is the dealer. So we just wanted to get out of that nonsense because we knew what we needed. We knew when we needed it. We knew what that data should look like. And we just it was a lot easier just to build it. But when you have it all, then you can start to have the system, the AI, make decisions and make decisions that you would normally make. And act on that. So right? Some of you guys that have been around for a long ass time, the way I have, and are damn near 100 the way I am, may remember a saying I had back even in the early 2000s, all the way through when everybody started talking about all the data we have. Well, we have all this data. Data is just part of 25% of the solution. You've got good data. That's 25%. But it takes a smart person to turn it into information. And then it takes an even smarter person to activate somebody based on it, and an even smarter person to act on it. Data, information, activation, action. If you don't have all three, or all four rather, you don't have 100%. What you have is 25% of the equation. So your CDP guy, he's got 25%. Your inventory management guy, he's got 25%. The CRM guy, he's got 25%. And the marketing guy, he's got 25%. And these 25%ers are always bitching, arguing with one another about how they get the data, when they get the data, to make their little piece of it work so they can keep their little piece of the revenue. And but come back, and all 100% of these 25%ers will all take credit for everything you do. So
100% they will.
Yeah. Well, they all will. They have to. That is just the nature of where they are. We didn't want to look at it that way. We wanted to say, well, first of all, we need this data to do this. Why do I need CDP data? Well, I need CDP data so that my information, or ALMA we call her, Automated Lead Management Assistant, so that my cognitive AI can go back and look at my CDP data. Determine who is an orphan customer. When was the last time they were here? And who should talk to them now? Who should we introduce to this orphan customer to see if they're ready to buy yet? And when they are ready to buy, who should they contact? And how should they interact with the store? That's just one example of why I need the CDP data. Why do I need the inventory management data? Well, I mean, if I'm Alma, well, I'm looking at it on that. I need inventory data because I need to know, I know that from the CDP data that Bill bought this machine or car, and I have similar vehicles in my inventory, and I see that Bill has owned the car long enough to trade it. So this is the offer I'm going to make to Bill. Now, you would expect a salesperson to do all that. Here is a customer who's an orphan. You go figure all that out. Good luck. They're not going to do that.
Right.
Actually, when I was a salesperson, I used to do that. I would go pull old folders out of the attic of the dealership of people
that 2 years ago.
Look at what they bought and actually put together an offer and then called them because we didn't have email. We called
Rolodex, get the paper copy. Yeah, here's her number.
100%. This is what we used to do because like I said, I'm damn near 100. We did have electricity and lights back then. Edison had just gotten the light bulb done, and we had just gotten the telephone.
Just had to look outside.
Yeah, it just happened to have these things. So we did have these. We had that. That's how we would do it. Now you've got a machine that if it has the data, it can actually do this in milliseconds. I tell people all the time, if I had this machine back when I was selling cars in the 80s, I might not be here today. If I had this machine when I had my dealerships, I would definitely not be here today. And so maybe it would have never gotten built. I don't know. But all I do know is that these are the decisions that AI can make. And everybody talks about AI, and there's actually not just one type of AI. There's over 25 different types of AI. And so the first guy you should throw out of your dealership is the guy that's telling you, oh, that company's not using true AI. There's no such thing as true AI. There's cognitive AI or analysis type AI. There's robotic AI. Machine learning is one of the earliest versions of AI, but it is AI. So this whole notion that there's one type of AI, there's not. The most popular today, because ChatGPT's made it popular, is generative AI that's generating these messages. But it needs a lot, and you need a prompt engineer. You need to know how to ask it the right questions. You know, there was an old movie that Will Smith was in called iRobot. And the professor there would always say he had that little disc, and he would ask the professor questions who got killed, and he'd say, "I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. You've got to ask the right question."
Right.
Right. It can't just be a better question. It's got to be the right question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's AI today. That's why you have prompt engineers, people who actually start to learn how to ask the AI for the right question to get the proper response. And so you've got that generative type AI, and then but in order to have it, you've got to have a great deal of information. Now, once you have the template for the great deal of information, you can ask it questions and it will give you really good answers and really good responses, but you got to have the right data first. Everything you do starts with the right data, but how you take that data and turn it into information, activate and act on it is the value. The data is not valuable by itself.
Yeah, making it actionable.
That's so true.
Right. Your CDP is not valuable by itself. 100%. It must have other inputs. It needs somebody to turn that data into information, activate and act on it. And that won't be your store.
What I think is interesting is for years in the industry, we've talked about the difference between a smart CRM and a dumb CRM. And the difference between a good website and a bad website. And, really for us, from the CRM standpoint, the data lakes and all these great points of contact, if nothing's being done with it, and it's not real-time actionable contextual data and marketing tied to it, it all kind of breaks apart. Same thing with the websites. If your website's built to be pretty, but it's not something that's creating action and driving people to you and having valuable conversations in real time to drive the deal forward and the road to the sale, it all kind of breaks apart.
Well, yeah, back in the late 90s and 2000s, you had people who would quote unquote surf the web. It was brand new. It was really novel. What's out there? Let's go see, and so you'd hear, and they would lock on and go see what's on the web. And
Right.
Eventually, within probably 8 years of that, I would say around 2008, when things started to make the turn, is that the web became more about seeing and a lot more about doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to the web to do something. 100%. I'm going to the web to specifically find something. If you really want to see the greatest example of this, and I bet no one's done it in years, but go dial 411. See what happens. It doesn't exist anymore. Because your phone will help you find the phone for the number you want faster.
It's a great analogy.
Right up to it.
It will.
Yes.
It will. And I mean, and that's the thing that we have to recognize as far as the intelligence that we've basically become accustomed to is still based off of us saying what would help save time, what would help make it easier, and what would actually help us be more accurate. Because there's nothing worse than talking to somebody about a car they're not worried about, they never even asked about, right? Or getting that heart-wrenching answer of, I've already bought, right? And then not knowing how to continue the conversation after the fact. Because most of the times it would be, well, that's it. It's over. You're dead to me because I'm dead to you. You bought from somebody else. Now we'll never be able to get together again. When that's obviously a person who buys, right? And somebody for you to still keep up with. and somebody for you to somehow build a relationship, at least sow the seeds that you can help them on the next time, and it not just be fluff and, oh, remember me the next time you come around.
Right.
No, it's actual proactive activity that we're using technology to help us out with. Now, when we talk about things like this, where we are taking out the general mindset of the tasks and the workflows and the things that we're so used to doing, there is a measure of, okay, well, how do I really make sure that I do make it a habit with my people to make sure, because I already know Larry. I already know Larry's flow on this when it comes to saying, how do I make sure that my people are actually using my stuff? Because it's one thing to make your phone call on your cell phone, on the work phone, and then it never really connecting to the app, because if you never use the technology to track you properly, you never really know what data you're actually looking at, and to be able to either making a pivot or an adjustment or being concise with your customer. The importance of using the actual technology, how important is it that they actually do all of their stuff through PSX or through the actual technology? And what should be the rule or the law of the land concerning that, Larry?
Well, so first of all, if you've got a CRM where you've got to pull up a customer and tell it you made a follow-up, you got the wrong CRM.
Back to the dumb CRM.
Yeah, you got if you got to check a box, to tell it you did anything in it, then you've got the wrong CRM. I mean, because that's when we built PSX, one of the things that we found was that, reason why salespeople don't use CRMs is because it's prohibitively hard for them to tell the CRM the things they're doing, and they'll miss stuff. They won't check it, all types of things. So then the CRM becomes either full of bad data because you did everything on every customer, and somehow you only sold 3 cars this month, or you only sold 3 vehicles this month, but you did everything right. You did everything right.
I marked that up as a too weak to ask customer. I wasn't really sure, but I put something in.
Yes, exactly. So you either one, did that, or two, you spent an inordinate amount of your day trying to tell the CRM what I'm doing, and it you didn't get anything done. So we had to, you have to make sure, first of all, your CRM is working for your salespeople, not creating work for your salespeople. Start number one. Number two, you have to make sure that you as a salesperson understand that what is here is important, and the data that's there costs money. Your dealer money, it costs them money. So every time you don't do something, every time you throw away a customer, every time you don't log a customer into your CRM because it's an up or whatever, because you thought it was a tire, every time you don't do that, you throw away $25 of the dealer's money. That's
every time you put inaccurate information, it's just as bad.
You're throwing away the dealer's money. I mean, I will one day hopefully pile up a pile of cash, like $150,000 in the middle of a store. And then every time they don't do something, I'm going to go take money out of that pile and tell the dealer whatever's left here at the end of the month, you get to keep. I guarantee you I will pull money out of that pile one time, and that dealer will be there with a machine gun seeing to it I never, ever touch that pile of money ever again. Everything will get done right. And at the end of the day, they'll make that amount of money in their store, because they'll see when you can visibly see what you're losing, then your mindset changes completely. It's the reason why there are chips in Vegas, not real money. It doesn't feel like you're losing real money. Right? So
this is
they're not stupid.
A good sales manager that wants to spiff somebody, put the cash in their hand.
Put the cash in their hand.
If they lose it, if they got to give it back, they're way less likely.
The reverse spiff. I love that. I love that one. Go put $300 cash in your hand. Say, hey, look, for every deal you don't sign up, for everything you don't do, I'm coming to ask you for some of my money back.
Yep.
Yeah. That changes the world. That changes the world very, very much. Love that.
We need to put everybody on a draw. You start the month with $10,000 guaranteed, and every time you're not facilitating the accurate process and doing what we need you to do,
we're taking money out of it. And you watch that pile go down a little bit. It gets down about like $500, and all of a sudden, salespeople are like, "Oh hell no, I got shit I got to go do. I can't. I'd love to sit here and talk and jaw jack with you on the phone. Yeah, I'd love to sit here and jaw jack with you on the drive or on the floor. But now I got stuff to do, man. That's coming out of my pile. Can't have my pile.
Right.
My sales manager encouraged me to buy that really expensive car because he knew I had to pay for it. Now I can't pay for it. My draw's gone.
Yeah.
Right. But that's exactly what it looks like when we start to consider how much money is inside of our database that we're letting go away just because we're not paying attention to the engagement that they have and the type of engagement that they want to have with us. So often we're being reactive as a sales force to the mission of the moment or what it is that's the hot topic of the day with our sales managers as we come out of a sales meeting, and it is generally reactive. It's not really setting us up for success. It's trying to keep the warden out of our business or keep us from being really checked on. And to your point earlier, Larry, if all of these tasks were actually getting done, we would sell some cars, right? But they're just getting clicked. We're just telling the system what we did. And I absolutely love your point on that if you have to tell the system what you did, then the truth is you can tell it anything you want to tell it. But what you can't tell it to do is make a customer show up and sign, right? You can't make it do that. But that's what you're working on trying to get complimented.
I don't know if we'll ever get to that
those
point.
two things together.
Well, we're all built to work low-hanging fruit. We all want quick results with as little work to get there as possible. And so it's the natural instinct. And that's kind of what we tried to build around is to make it super easy where all you're doing is working low-hanging fruit, customers in front of you, and then somebody else takes care of all the long-term follow-up you weren't going to do anyway.
Right. At the end of the no question, at the end of the day, it's funny how often we see dealers who don't understand the value of their data. They're starting to understand it a lot more. I mean, back when I started this deal, it started in the car business and the technology business and in the car world and then late 90s, the data in the DMS wasn't really worth anything to a dealer at all. Now today, if you want to break in there and get that data, you got to damn near sign an act of Congress to get to it. The same thing goes with everything else that you do. I mean, when you build out these CDPs, it all sounds sexy. It all sounds very cool. But it doesn't have any actionable data in it until you make actionable data out of it. And so, turning around doing these things as dealers, we get struck by the pie in the sky stuff, and we don't realize that there's execution involved. And you got to figure out how to make that execution work. And same thing goes with the salespeople. At the end of the day, no one's going to, I tell dealers all the time, if I ever create a system that sells the car for you, you won't be able to afford it. So, that's never going to happen. So at the end of the, you've got to realize that there's still going to be a salesperson who interacts. There's still going to be a salesperson that the customer can like, know, and trust in order to buy and facilitate that final transaction. But everything up to that needs to be consistent, needs to happen every single time. And the system should be able to do most of that for you and get better at doing that. But it won't take one true AI to do that. It'll take many, at least 3 that we've identified so far. It won't be just one type of AI. There'll be a couple involved. The AI needs to get better. It's going to have to be trained. There's a lot of things that's going to have to happen in order for that to do that. The good news for PSX and Motorix now is that we started this in 2017, but long before ChatGPT ever came along. ChatGPT made our lives a lot easier, and we got a lot more data as a result of it, and still do today. But with this concept of having a machine or a AI assistant assist the salespeople with the follow up, with the day plan, with what I should do, and do it in real time rather than doing it at the beginning of the day and then crossing our fingers and hope we catch the one guy who's interested in buying today, or hope you catch the one guy who gets a wild hair and decides I'm going to do it right now. That happens all the time. Rather than happen to catch that, use more data to find those types of people and put them forefront. Those are the first people that Alma will tell the salesperson to call. Alma will structure that day, and she'll structure that day, restructure that day, restructure that day, restructure that day, continue to restructure that day, just as she continues to restructure the desk log, continues to what's important, what on the floor is important and what's not as important. Everything on the floor is important, but some is more important than others. And so just continuously restructuring what you should be doing based on what customers do. I know here's the shocking thing about it that the dealers, we still haven't figured out. The customer doesn't care what you want.
No.
They are only interested in what they want. So if you're making me come to your dealership to find your stuff, if you're making me come to your dealership to get information, if you're making me if you're not making it easy for me to buy from you, then don't be shocked when I don't.
Right.
Because
so
I
Larry,
don't
you
care
said
about
something
you.
earlier.
Go ahead.
And I want to lean into that a little bit. Maybe Jeff get a little bit explanation from you, because you guys are some geniuses when it comes to this, and not
Just
all car guys are on the side of understanding the tech as well. But you said something that might have perked somebody's ear up real quick, because you said training the AI, training the system, and then you did unpack it a little bit more by saying how it kind of refines itself. But Jeff, help to give a little bit of context to what Larry's meaning, or what it means to actually be training the artificial intelligence.
Well, what came to mind as Larry was going through that, we're talking a lot about real-time stuff that happens in our day plan today. She puts the best opportunity in front of you to call first, because we've seen things go on behind the scenes you should know about. That's your best opportunity. We know that, you might not. But even better, the extension of that is as the AI learns, and we can tell you that they communicate better with text, or they communicate better if you email them, and what time of day they're more open to opening one of those things. Hey, I see in the background they answer phone calls better, but it needs to be at 10 o'clock, not at 2 o'clock. So there's just so much data that a salesperson could never own and keep track of, not only from your daily work plan, but to your follow-up plan while there's still a hot, low-hanging fruit. But even more importantly, for up to 2 years, when Alma's going to follow up on those things that you dropped on the floor because you couldn't sell them today, 6 months, she might uncover something changed in their world. Alma calls you back and says, hey, you got a fresh lead again, and work some low-hanging fruit from someone you dropped on the floor 6 months ago. So yeah, the AI learning is amazing, but again, if it's not actionable, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's kind of where we come in, taking all the data points together in our systems, living together to help you do something with the information and have a better daily plan. Have somebody else do all the work for you, and all you work on is what's in front of you and what you can close today, and create the format and the relationships.
As car guys, I don't know about most of the guys. I can't answer for everybody, but most of the car guys I know are very visual. We got to see it. We come from Missouri. Show me.
Show me state.
Show me state. That's right.
Show me. So, so Lou, if you can share one of my screens, that'd be great. Or if you can give me the ability to share my screen, I might be able to help with some of this.
Yeah, this is cool.
Let's see. Yeah.
Present.
I can't talk it. Let's see.
Let me know if you're seeing my screen.
Not yet, sir.
I can.
Okay.
Your screen.
Okay.
Larry. Let me see. Can't adjust your settings on that, but goodness. All right, guys, we're on a little bit of dead air here, just trying to get your visuals up. You would have to be in here.
Hey, Lou, you're giving us all a perfect example of all the dealers that say, hey, I'm going to create my own CRM. I'm going to do my own website. You know, when you do something really well, go do what you do really well. Technology is always going to be a challenge for everybody. I always laugh when I hear those stories. No, we're going to do it ourselves. No, you guys go selling service cars.
Awesome. Well, inside of this, we would have had to start the show on a different side of it for you to be able to do your sharing.
Larry, visually talk about what you wanted to show with that brain. I know what you wanted to see because it's pretty cool.
Anything?
There he is.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like we can do it. Just
virtually
walk the team through it.
Go.
There we go.
You're in, Larry.
And we might be able to we may get this. Hang on. I might get it. I might not. I don't know. Yeah, it's not. It's only letting me show that actually not. Those weren't the screens. Those were the web browsers that it would let me. That it won't let me show.
A minute.
There we go. I don't think it's going to let me show this PDF. But anyway, we won't worry about it. I thought it would be relevant, but but it might not. So so basically think of a brain. And, a lot of people, who build these platforms as we have with inventory management, CRM, websites, they build it because, and their whole value proposition is one throat to choke, right? One place to go get all this stuff done. That is not our value proposition. It's a byproduct. It's not our value proposition. Our value proposition is because it's one brain to act. By having access to the CDP and having our access so that if we get exactly what we want, when we want it, as we need it, having our own inventory management system so that we get exactly what we need when we need it, having our own CRM so we get exactly from it what we need when we need it. We don't have to manage these connections. They're built on top of each other. The data flows into cognitive AI, Alma, the right way. That allows Alma to look at the CDP, find old sold customers or orphan customers and assign them out. It allows Alma to look at the inventory management system and tell you, hey, look, here is the bucket of customers that you should put a spiff on to get rid of it. When you do, it takes this amount of time. You should put this amount of spiff on this bucket. And to get rid of this data or to lower this inventory in this amount of time. To be able to look at the CRM and decide, hey, Larry, you need to follow up on this customer today because they were on your website 5 minutes ago. They have interacted with you this many times. And you should text that customer right now. Here's the text that you should send. Now, that's the cognitive AI acting and taking data and turning it into information and acting on it, activating somebody as a result and acting on it. Now, then you look over at the generative AI, and the generative AI, Sammy, she's looking at all of this data and saying, okay, I need to go back over here into the CDP because I see here's a customer who has equity in their vehicle, and I'm equity minded. I can put together this data using the books and this data utilizing the inventory management system and the appraisal tool, and know just about where this is an A vehicle for the dealership. They sell it in 30 days and make $3,000 when they get it. Therefore, I'm going to go get that customer who has that vehicle, marry them up with a vehicle that we have in stock, make this offer to them, and send it out. But when I do, I want to talk intelligently to them. So I'm going to read down here to Elo, which eloquent, and I'm going to give Elo the customer, the dealership's persona, how they want to talk to their customer. I'm going to give the Elo the customer's relationship with us, their existing customer. I'm going to tell them it's an orphan customer, so their salesperson is no longer here. I'm going to tell her all of the information she needs to build me a message. And by the way, here's the message is you can trade your vehicle for this amount of money and keep a payment that's at or below what you currently have right now. That's my message. And my goal is to get them to reply. LO, build me a message. And LO builds you a message, sends it back to him, and then Sammy sends it out. Then she tracks it. Did you open it? Did you click? Did you reply? What did you reply in? When did you do it? So I can make determinations on everybody else as I'm learning from it. Your brain learns this way. Your brain has more than one area. It's not one AI, it's many AIs. The brain is an AI. And it learns all of these things in this way. And you'd be a super salesperson if you could do that. But you would never be able, as good as your brain is, would never be able to do it as fast as Alma, LO, and Sammy can. They can get things done in milliseconds.
Right. And that's the part where we do need to embrace the AI so much because, one, we only have so much time. And this has never been made to make us not be smart or to think for us, but it thinks faster. It achieves way more than we can inside of a long span of time. Whether it's reading all of the notes inside of our conversation, you can spend half of your day just trying to read the notes to get yourself together to have the right thing to say to the customer, where an Alma, or making sure that AI is reading it, knows it, they know how to queue up the right conversation based off of everything that's been said. Where usually a sales pro is kind of being on the superficial side of it. If we do, I mean, this is like
working on the fly.
Right. The small percentages do a little bit of a scroll up into the conversation to see what was said before. Very small percentages, but even when they do that, they're getting maybe the last 4 or 5 blocks of conversation, and as far as it exchanging at the absolute most. They're not spending the time to talk about what they talked about 2 years ago, right? That's what the conversation, the AI has the ability to do, is be able to see what was talked about way back then. What actual life-changing events was actually said inside of that conversation that could be queued up for the salesperson to talk about. Because if you put the T on the ball for a sales pro, they're going to knock it out the park. Nobody's going to be able to navigate a physical conversation better than the human person. But to be able to know what the actual conversation was about in the past, we don't have the time for that. And we'll be honest with you, we already know that. They're not going to do the majority of the tasks because of how much time it takes, especially because they're only going to be there for so long. And we need to learn how to, as we've been trying to say it, augment the human. Make sure that we assist the human with all of this technology so that they can do what they're great at. Not do less, just not do what they're not the best at. Right? Which is letting the technology do it. I mean, I will not work a car deal without my calculator or my actual amortization charts inside. Program. I mean, I remember going off of those amortization charts and trying to figure out your money factor and typing up on the 10 key and saying, going from there. Yeah, that was cool. But that's still not how we're going to finish the deal. Right? We're not going to do it that way. We're going to trust the system and let the computer say it out. And this way we know we're accurate.
But Lou,
price times 0.0. Price time.
Not to do less. The reality is what I'm so in love with the concept is that it's 80% of my busy work that I hate, that I refuse to do, that I see no value in at all to me. And if I can then go spend all of that time focused on the customer in front of me, answering the calls, working low-hanging fruit, knowing it's being taken care of for me in the background, and then magically it comes back to me again because the big brain and long-term follow-up. I mean, it's amazing. You know, it's really brought it to a whole new level that wasn't available prior. So if I was a sales guy, I'd be in love with the concept. I spend all my time working on customers and selling stuff.
Well, working on customers, just telling the system what happened and letting it go do its thing. And I'm going to go do my thing. My thing is to talk to people that are interested in buying a vehicle right now. Doesn't matter if it's a powerboat sports machine or to a car. Doesn't matter. My job that as a salesperson, I am best one-on-one with the customer to get them to like, know, and trust me, like, know, and trust my store to buy from me. That's their real value. Their value is not in writing a piece of text. It's not in writing an email. Their value is not in pushing buttons on your CRM or checking boxes off. Because I assure you, if you have a box that asks the customer if they did the test ride, I guarantee you 100% of them did the test ride.
The two things salespeople we desperately need for is to create that personal relationship, because the same inventories at other stores in town, the prices are comparable. So the salesperson is always going to own that relationship. And the second piece is quick, real-time, speed to lead, and giving them valuable information in real time. And you're always going to need a salesperson to do those two things effectively. And so we're just teeing them up to do those two things.
So true. So amen to that, everybody. And for those of you that are listening in and hearing this, and you've listened to some more of these conversations that we've had, please drop inside of the comments any other subjects that you know and you think need to be discussed, while we get a couple of great car guys to get in here and chop it up a little bit to figure out how we actually brew solutions using the technologies that we have to go to the next level. Now, PSX Digital is definitely on a great wave forward of making sure that we do connect what's going on with the technologies to making sure that we start to unravel some of the crazy webs that we've made inside of our processes that just make our life harder. We make it harder on ourselves for no reason with the tools in our hand to be able to really get the most out of the time that we're at work and give a better experience to not just the customer, to you, the actual person trying to connect to the customer, because nothing is worse than having a technology that you refuse to use right, or you hate engaging with. And with this type of technology that's right there in front of you, you'll learn to love it if you learn what it's actually doing to help you do what you do best.
As a salesperson, don't fight it. Roll with it.
Right, don't fight, baby.
Don't fight it. Don't fight it. I mean, I can remember back in the day, we would fight taking deals to the desk. What do you mean? No one would even think to fight that today. But, back in the 80s, that's what we did. We would fight calling customers on the phone. No one would even think to fight that today. But
if I was a salesperson, anything I could do to make more money, I would do. I would learn, I would embrace, and this is just like that. If I can understand it, I can find out how I can make more money from it. Yeah.
Don't fight whatever technology you're using. I don't care what it is. Don't fight it, and don't try to torpedo it. Right?
Yes.
If something, it's amazing to me, but you'll see salespeople, you'll catch yourself doing it. Something won't work on your phone. You'll close it out and open it back up again. Not even think about it. Just do it. Mm-hmm. But if something doesn't work in your store, oh my God, this thing sucks. Come on, guys.
Or you do the old work, right?
Yeah,
that being said, for us and anybody else that's a software partner to dealerships, always ask questions and uncover the best practices. And hey, what am I missing? How should I be doing this differently? Because really, usually it's not broken. Usually there's a disconnect on training or process or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just ask questions.
Yeah, amazingly enough, you learn to use Facebook without a single training thing.
So true.
You learned to use Twitter without a single piece of training. You learn to use half the app. Well, no, 100% of the apps on your phone. You learn to use them without anything at all.
That's a great point.
It's very true. It's good stuff, Larry.
All right, guys. Well, we brewed this one right on out, haven't we?
Lou's locked up on us.
Uh-oh. Lou.
At least the screen capture is good. You look good in the screen capture. Yeah, we might be locked up.
Lou's got to come back to close out the show. So we're still rolling live without Lou.
What are you talking about, Larry?
Bruce and Loos are loose without Lou. That's hard to say. Say that 10 times slow fast.
Bruce and Loos.
Bruce
and Loos is Bruce. Bruce is loose.
without Lou.
Who's coming back? There he is. You were locked up.
And we're back.
Back to close out.
Well, car guys, car gals, thank you so much again for tuning in for this DealerCast 2.0. Make sure that you do share some of this around. Tag a car guy, tag a car gal. But if you do have questions, you do have something you want to learn, or you want to tell us that we completely are off our rocker, let us know, and let's talk about it a little bit. Let's try to brew a conversation to say, what do we do to bring solutions that are desperately needed inside of the showroom to just make the experience for everybody involved easier, more fun, and effective. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy, and you've been watching DealerCast 2.0 with the one, the only, Larry Bruce, and getting some great wisdom from the one, the only, Jeff Loos. Keep brewing solutions, everybody. Keep checking us out. Pass it around, and have an incredible, incredible day. We're going to forgive, focus, fly, and we're going to keep growing, everybody. So on 3, help us out. 1, 2, 3, forgive, focus, fly,
and keep growing and coaching and growing and coaching. Yeah, that's our new closeout. Growing and coaching.
Let's go. Yeah. Keep growing and coaching. Heck yeah, everybody. I appreciate you all for hanging out with us today. Go make something happen and give us a call if you want to find out how PSX Digital can help you inside of your showroom. Give us a shout. We'd be glad to give you a demo. One of these shows, everybody, you're going to get the free demo coming at you soon. But until then,
not long.
We're out. Peace.
Go have some fun and make